A new turn in history, the first class of the digital era.
Imagine yourself in a place where classrooms are replaced by camera stands, where blackboards have been swapped with ring lights, and every student's homework is to make their voice heard by the world. This wasn't just an ordinary day, this was a turning point in history, the first step into a digital era where every student wasn't just a learner, they were a pioneer. What we're talking about today wasn't simply an orientation meeting. It was the soft launch of a digital revolution, a place where every young heart was handed a mic and told, "Your voice matters too." They say college prepares you for the world, but here, day one was the world. Every student, whether their name was Alex Brooklyn or Snow Cone, wasn't just receiving an ID card, they were accepting a mission. A responsibility not just to stream, but to influence. This university wouldn't just give you a degree, it would give you a legacy. And when they were handed their first streaming schedule, it wasn't just a piece of paper, it was an official statement. You're ready. Your moment had arrived. When each name was called, when they heard, "Come to my office," it wasn't just an invitation. It was a declaration that their time had begun. When a room key was placed in their hand, it wasn't just access to four walls. It was access to their creativity, their freedom, their digital future. Now think about it. How many students in the world start day one with rules and policies? But here they were told on day one, spark up your stream. That passion, that energy, that fire, it wasn't just a buzz. It was a warning shot to the world. New legends are being born. And when each of them looked into the camera for the first time, it wasn't their face that was shining, it was their intention. And the beauty of it was all natural. No ego, no rivalry, just a shared flame. A new chapter of history was being written, but not in textbooks, in every stream, in every click, in every viewer comment, in every live now notification. When a student says, "This is my first stream," understand this. That's not just an introduction. That's the first word of a new world. Now imagine if you were one of them, if your name had been called, if someone had told you, "Come into my office," what would you have felt? Excitement, fear, or that rush when you realize there's no turning back? Because when your time arrives, life doesn't ask for permission, it pushes you onto the stage. And in that moment, you either hide or you shine. That meeting, that scene, that moment, that it wasn't just for those students. It was for anyone who has ever wondered, will anyone ever listen to me? And the answer is yes, but only if you take the first step. That was the step. Close your eyes and imagine a hall filled with fresh faces. Each face carried a unique story. Some came from small towns. Others left behind the comfort of their families to chase a dream. Some only had an old device but a fire in their heart. In that hall, every student was not just a learner, they were a mission. You could see the passion on their faces, silent yet powerful, as if saying, "I will make my name shine." One had great editing skills, another could speak with impact, someone had a unique style. But the one thing they all shared was intent. The intention to change the world with their voice, with their creativity. And the most beautiful part, they weren't there just to go viral, they came to make an impact. There was a girl who had never spoken on a mic before. She shared how people always said, "You're too shy, how can you stream?" But that day, her eyes didn't show fear, they reflected hope. A boy who only watched creators before said, "From today, I'll be one." These weren't just words, that you could feel a new era in their tone, in their gaze, in every breath they took. These students weren't just part of a university. They were part of a movement where anyone can hold a camera, but only a few can capture hearts. And that day, all of them were ready for that mission. One said, "I'll spread smiles." Another said, "I'll become the voice of truth." One simply said,
"I will prove myself."
Their missions were different, but their destination was the same: identity. To reach the world with their ideas, emotions, and truth. Will all of them succeed? Maybe not. But each one will make an impact if they stay honest to their mission. And when the meeting ended, it wasn't the end of a session, it was the beginning of a new era. These students weren't just creators anymore, they were change makers. Their mission had begun. And a true mission is the one you start despite fear, because the world doesn't belong to those who stop, it belongs to those who move. And that day they all moved. Just imagine the moment when the principal handed out the schedules. It wasn't just another day, it wasn't just a routine list, it was the very first step toward their dreams. A single sheet of paper with each student's name and their designated streaming slot. But in truth, that paper said something deeper.
This is your first official contract with success.
Some students quietly held back tears, others smiled so deeply you'd think they had just received the greatest gift of their life. With every time slot came a sense of responsibility, a chance, and a whole new journey. Until now, they had only been thinking. Now they had a time, a direction. Now it was time for action. One boy, whose name was at the top of the list, looked at his slot 9 a.m. and he said, "This isn't just the start of my morning, and this is the first page of a new chapter in my life." The hall was buzzing with a strange kind of energy. No one held back. Everyone clutched their schedule like they were holding the blueprint of their destiny. The principal didn't just give out a list. They gave each hidden light within those students a path to shine through. Every time slot was filled with potential, hard work, struggle, and a golden opportunity to prove themselves. No one looked at the paper as just ink on a page. They saw their future written in it. After that meeting, every student looked different. Those who once hesitated now looked confident. Those who only watched others said, "Now it's my turn." And when someone says, "It's my turn," know that they've strangled every doubt and fear inside them. That moment didn't just inspire students, it electrified the entire hall. Everyone looked at each other with the same fire in their eyes, as if silently saying, "You'll do it, and so will I." What used to be silent competition among friends had now transformed into mutual support. The principal didn't just assign time, they gave direction to lives. And that direction only becomes powerful when someone values the time they're given. Because time may not be everything, but with the right use of time, everything becomes possible. As the students began preparing for their slots, they didn't just feel excitement, they felt purpose, a drive, a fire. Each one of them thought, if I've been given these 30 minutes, I'll show the world something they've never seen before. They weren't just streamers anymore. They had become artists. Each slot had become a stage where their talent, effort, and heart would be fully on display. And the real question when you're handed a time slot isn't what should I do? The real question is, how can I give my everything to this moment?
Because every second either becomes a regret or a legacy.
That meeting, it wasn't just an information session, it was the beginning of a new kind of bond. It felt like everyone already knew each other. The air was filled with one powerful energy: we are in this together. And when people start cheering for each other's dreams more than their own, know that something bigger than education is happening, something called transformation. When the students received their streaming slots and roles, no one celebrated alone. The first reaction was always, "Check yours too," or "You're first, go shine," or "You deserve this." It felt like watching a sports team lift each other up. But here, every student was an individual creator, an artist, and still they held each other equal. There was this sense of friendship and support that moved beyond the classroom walls and went straight into hearts. When one girl said, "I'm nervous about my first stream," 3 others immediately said, "Don't worry, we'll be your first live viewers." And in that moment, the confidence that appeared in her eyes, no textbook could have given that. That only comes from support. That was the moment everyone realized success isn't just about yourself. The real joy of success is when those around you are also smiling with pride. And every face in that room was living proof. There was no jealousy, no competition, only the drive to lift each other up and say, "You've got this." When the principal said, "Every stream will be the voice of this university," a light lit up in every student's face. A light that only comes from belief. And belief is only born when the people around you look at you and say, "I see something special in you." And that day, each student saw that special spark in someone else. Some helped others with scripting, some designed thumbnails, some partnered up for practice sessions. Each person had their own way, but the goal was the same: we will take this place to the top, together. And when you feel like, "I'm not alone anymore," you can face any challenge. This brotherhood wasn't just friendship, it was the birth of a new community. A community where every student decided to become part of someone else's identity. Some of them had been alone before, with no one to hear them out. But after that meeting, every student had a team that would cheer for every stream, correct every mistake, and celebrate every success. That kind of unity doesn't last for a day. It changes your entire life. When someone's hand is on your shoulder, you don't stay down, you rise. And the vibe that day gave each student the deep confidence that even if they stumble, they'll have a university standing behind them. That's the true beginning, because when each person becomes something for someone else, everyone ends up winning everything for themselves. That meeting, it wasn't just a moment for distributing a syllabus or handing out paperwork, it was the beginning of something powerful. For the first time, a university officially recognized that creativity could be a part of education. For the first time, every student was told, your camera is your pen, your mic is your mission, and your content can become your career. It wasn't just a meeting, it was the first real lecture of the digital age. And in that lecture, every student was being written into history as a future digital legend. When the principal said, "From now on, you are not just students, you are creators," a silence filled the room. But it wasn't a silence of fear. It was a silence of realization. Every student's face reflected the same thought. Now I understand why I'm here. It was the first time an educational setup gave a platform to dreams and not just degrees. Content creation was no longer just a fancy word, it became a responsibility. Because when you step in front of the world, you don't just speak for yourself, you speak for your culture, your emotions, and your identity. And when each student realized this, a new fire was lit within them. They understood that their story could become a path for someone else. The most beautiful part? No one there was an expert. Some were afraid of cameras, others were shy around a mic, some loved to write, and some simply observed quietly. But they all stood on the same ground, ready to learn, ready to fall, but never ready to quit. Each student realized they were no longer just learners. They were now soldiers on the battlefield of content, fighting to change the world with their vision. That day, they didn't just receive streaming slots, they received new identities. Each student didn't just get a schedule, they got a blueprint for the future. And they understood, when you're creative, you aren't bound by any book, because every idea you have becomes a book of its own. The most powerful moment came when one student stood up and said, "I used to think I wasn't special, but if my voice can inspire someone, I'll create content every day." That was the moment an ordinary student transformed into an extraordinary voice, not because he had a mic, but because he had people around him who wanted to hear what he had to say. That meeting proved that history isn't just written in books. Sometimes it's created in a classroom where there's no chalkboard, no desk, just pure passion, a platform, and people who refuse to stop. And when a university decides that every student should become a creator, understand this, they're not just offering education, they're launching a digital revolution. Because the future doesn't belong to the ones who wait for permission, it belongs to those who dare to press record. There comes a time in every person's life when they have to make a decision, not just about their future, but about their voice. Will they stay quiet and blend into the background? Or will they stand up, take the mic, and say something that truly matters? That's what this moment is about. It's about awakening the voice that's been waiting inside you. In that meeting at Streamer University, not every student got the mic on day one. Not everyone got their moment to speak. But what was most inspiring was the way they listened. They watched as others stood up, shared their stories, made people laugh, cry, think, and in that silence, something powerful was born. Hope. The kind of hope that whispers,
Maybe I could do that too. And you know what?
you can, because this world is changing. The platforms that once only welcomed a few chosen voices are now open to everyone. Every device in your hand is a gateway. Every lens is a stage. Every word you speak, if it's real, if it's raw, has the power to touch hearts on the other side of the world. But you have to stop waiting for the perfect moment. You have to stop thinking someone will come knock on your door and say, "Now is your time. No one is coming." And that's the best news you'll hear today, because it means you get to choose. You can decide right now that this is your moment, that you won't wait until someone else says you're ready, that your voice is just as valid, just as needed, just as powerful. Maybe you don't have a fancy setup. Maybe you've only got your phone and a dream. But dreams are exactly what start revolutions. Some of the greatest creators in the world began with nothing but a cracked screen and shaky hands. What they had wasn't perfect lighting. It was unstoppable passion. It was the courage to hit record even when no one was watching. So if you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever felt like you don't belong, if you've ever looked at the world and thought, "They'll never listen to someone like me," I want to tell you something with every ounce of certainty in my soul.
You are exactly what this world needs right now.
Because when the world is loud with fake voices, only the real ones stand out. And your truth, your raw, unfiltered, imperfect truth, is more powerful than any script or staged performance. This isn't about fame. This isn't about going viral. This is about meaning. It's about choosing to be seen, choosing to let your soul be heard, choosing to say something that matters. Because your voice, your story, your message, it has the power to reach someone who's sitting in silence, waiting for a sign that they're not alone. Think about that for a second. Your voice could save someone else's life. And if you ever needed permission, here it is. You have permission to speak. You have permission to create. You have permission to fail and keep going. You have permission to be exactly who you are and let the world meet that person. There are mics waiting. There are cameras ready. There are people out there searching for authenticity, for realness, for you. Don't deprive the world of your magic just because fear whispered, "What if I'm not good enough?" You don't need to be perfect. You need to be honest. And maybe, just maybe, you're not the one waiting for a mic. Maybe you are the mic. Maybe your very presence is the amplifier someone else needs to believe in themselves. So yes, this was their moment. They got the chance to speak, to shine, to lead. But don't for a second think that this is over. Because guess what?
Your number's coming too.
And when it does, when it's your turn to speak, to create, to lead, don't hold back. Let your fire burn. Let your truth pour out. Let the world feel what it's been missing. Because every revolution starts with one brave voice.
And the next one could be yours.
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button. And for more exciting and motivational content, make sure to subscribe to the channel.